Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Faustine Chan. I'm the Business Innovation Manager for BBB serving the Pacific Southwest. And we've been holding these webinars just to provide education tools for our businesses at this time. We know it's just some of you guys are opening up, some of you are still on lockdown, some of you are still, working from home. So we just want to give you some tools for your businesses during this time, just to help you keep motivated to invest in your business and to help navigate you at this time. If you do have questions throughout this webinar, you can go ahead and type them in the chat option or the Q&A, and we will answer them at the end. This webinar is being recorded, so if any time you do miss any part of it, if you need to review any information that Patty shares, it will be posted on events.bbcommunity.org. Within 1 to 2 business days, you can retrieve that recording, and I will also send an email out as well. So we have a great speaker today. We have Patty Ross from the Golden State Marketing. She is a native of California, has over 20 years of experience in marketing, and has been in the online space since 1998, where she developed an e-commerce program for a gourmet gift company that turned into a $1 million business. She's also spent 15 years helping the wine industry gain traction online, and has since branched out to help other industries, including the restaurant, financial, legal, health, and beauty industries. Golden State Marketing and her other business, California Wine Marketing, has been founded since 2006. She also enjoys speaking on various types of marketing topics to help business owners understand the importance of marketing their brand online and offline. So please welcome today's speaker, Patty Ross.
Thank you. And I hope I'm not on mute. Nope, I'm not on mute. So yes, thank you, Better Business Bureau, for inviting me to speak. It's my first time with the Better Business Bureau. Some of you may have gotten the invitation directly from me. I do teach for SCORE, Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, and other business organizations as well. So as Faustine said, just a housekeeping on my end, they are recording it. She will put it up on the various Better Business Bureau website, email. If you want the slides from me and the content calendar I'm going to talk about, make sure you visit this goldenstatemarketing.net/BBB. I just set up a quick form page, just want your name and email address, and I will send all of those goodies to you at the end, so I don't have all of your information to send it to. And like Faustine said, put the questions, there's a Q&A feature and a chat feature. If you can put questions in the Q&A and chat, any comments or problems or anything you're having in the chat. So I'm going to monitor them. I'm going to attempt to answer questions as we go. I do want to keep the slide presentation moving. So I will attempt to. If not, I'll answer them at the end. And we will, this is about an hour. We can go a little bit over, so don't worry. If you have a hard stop at noon, go ahead and take off. We'll record the whole thing until the end, including any questions, and make sure you get the full show. So there we go. So I'll go ahead and start. So just as Faustine gave me a little bit of a bio as well, just to repeat, born and raised in LA, I was just telling, in the Venice Beach area, and lived up in the Bay Area for about 23 years before moving here to the Central Coast in 2015. And I had been in the wine industry since now 16 years almost, and this August, up in Napa, working on the software side of the technology end of the wine industry, as well as marketing. Helped all these different types of businesses. Faustine mentioned a few, and I teach classes for all these organizations, and I'm involved in the National Association of Women Business Owner. I'm on the local board here as a marketing director, and hopefully will be for the NABO Los Angeles soon as well. So that's me. And just to reiterate classes that are coming up, these are mostly hosted through SCORE Los Angeles right now. But if you visit my webpage, the Golden State Marketing Education page, all of these are coming up. I just wanted to show you a smattering of classes that I have coming up. Email, social media, Canva, you're going to learn a little bit about today, but I do a full tutorial on that. I have a new Marketing Plan 101 class that I just taught for the first time. I'm teaching it again in June. That's a good one if you need to build a marketing plan. So it's a little sample, but if you visit that page and if you're on my list, you'll get updates on classes coming up. So that's me. So here we go. The elephant in the room that does not want to go away, right? So I know this has been strange times in the past. What has it been? Like 8 years since this all came about? Feels like it anyways, right? So I had to immediately, I hate this word, but I have to use it, immediately pivot. Back in March, all of my classes were all live workshops. I was supposed to be down in LA, in Los Angeles, teaching classes, and then coronavirus hit. And I had to immediately switch over to webinar format. And a lot of people I've talked to have switched over to online formats for their various businesses, martial arts and dance instructors. And I've talked to a lot of interesting business owners who are kind of transitioning, reimagining, as I like to call it, their business to maybe something online that might stay that way permanently. As we're talking before we started, where people were from and talking about gas prices and a lot of people in LA and how beautiful the air is there now. Maybe some businesses will look at telecommuting and maybe doing more things online, so people are spending less time in their cars traveling around and hurting the environment. So how does this affect you and your business, right? I mean, obviously it affects us all personally and professional. I just found this. I love this. Hopefully Zoom doesn't see. But I thought this was funny. I'm like, wow, if anybody benefited from this, definitely Zoom has, right? I thought this was, if anybody remembers Scooby-Doo and the bad guy. But wish we all owned stock in Zoom at this point. So what is our next normal going to be? New normal, whatever we want to call it, coming up. We're still in the throes of the coronavirus. It hasn't ended, as we know. Everybody's anxious to get back. Like Faustine mentioned, a lot of places are open. I know Los Angeles is not fully open yet. My area is not fully open. So we're all at different levels. We're all in different boats in the same storm, and trying to figure out how that affects us personally and professionally. I like this slide. I found this, one of my friends posted it up pretty close to immediately after the COVID hit. And I think most of us were probably still in that fear zone, right? We're all hoarding toilet paper and hunkering down at home and trying to figure out what the heck is going on, right? And how long is this going to last? And now that we're, I think it's 8-10 weeks out, in a totally different spot mentally, maybe physically as well. Where are you in these zones for your personal life and professional? So if you do get these slides, you can look at this and see this slide. I think it's just kind of important to see, collectively how we're going through this, individually and collectively, and how your business is as well. I'd look at it two separate things. So I always said, keep calm and don't stop marketing, even from day one of this. I think mid-March is when I had to switch gears and go into webinar mode. But I told people then, and I'm telling you now, don't stop marketing. Some businesses, I don't know, what type of businesses you have, if you've totally shut down, partially, open back up, still waiting to open up, weren't affected at all by it, only by the fact they were, shut down or locked down at home. But some businesses thrived under this, especially Zoom, right? But I always say, don't stop marketing. And especially now that we're getting kind of that transitioning somewhat back to opening businesses and trying to get back to life before. I don't know if we'll ever have a normal again, but this, I'd say, just keep on marketing, because it's never a time when you want to stop marketing. I say practice social distancing, but don't distance socially, stay out there. This was a tweet that I love. This was my very first boss in the wine industry up in Napa. And I always look at the date, March 16th. I think I was teaching my first webinar on March 18th, and I happened to see him on Twitter. And I thought this was appropriate. It still is. It always is. But when he posted this up just when the coronavirus hit, now would be a good time to use email, social, or even the phone and talk with your customer. There always is ROI. There's always return on investment in talking with your customers. This is true all year round. Definitely was very true now, especially 2 months ago when we first jumped into this, staying in touch with them, figuring out what they're going through. Again, everybody's business is totally different, but always stay in touch with your customers. Always, this will be about relationship building more so than ever, I think, and especially in marketing. There'll be a lot of ways to go about it, email marketing, social media, all of that. But there'll be traditional ways of doing marketing, but I think also new ways of approaching it. So always stay in touch with your customers, call and check on them. If you haven't been doing it for the past couple of months, if you have customers, check up on them. Don't necessarily sell them, but you want to stay engaged. It says on here, be human. We're all in this together. Like I said, we're maybe different boats, but in the same storm, because we're all dealing with this in different ways. All right. And if you're doing, this is kind of not really necessarily an overwhelm part, but I recommend it if this is part of your new normal for your business, going online like I had to do. I didn't really do webinars before. I did mostly, or actually all live classes, which I love to do, probably more than I like doing the webinars. I like being in front of people. But this works, reached out to more people. I can speak to people in Arizona and California and all over the place. So I would say if you are going to be doing any type of live, Facebook lives, Instagram lives, webinars, if you're just doing casual meetings, it's one thing, but make sure you have the good equipment. I'm just throwing this up there. This microphone you see pictured here is the exact one I'm using. Got it on Amazon. I think it's $30, $40. I can send you the links. I don't make any money off of them, but I think it sounds pretty good. I use this camera. I have a different light ring or a light box, but make sure you have good equipment so you sound good, you look good. One thing I put on here, make sure you have proper internet or adequate internet if in your area if you can. I had to go from 100 megabyte speed, which you think would be good, to 400 in my house because 100 was lagging, especially with everybody at home now in the area. So make sure it's your business. Make sure you look good, sound good. You don't want to have, a bad picture and you can't hear you and you're cutting in and out. So make sure that's, you have that covered. And this equipment, I need 150-ish total, depending on what you buy and if it's on sale. So you're not really investing that much money in good equipment. And this is a good time. Obviously, it's been a good time, but still it's a good time to build content. If you can, get those blog articles done, video logs or vlogs, if you can. Again, having good equipment, doing videos, taking pictures if you can of products or view, any printed materials, marketing. I'll show you the cool tool to use to create those pretty easily. Visiting your website if you have one, looking at just doing maintenance and housekeeping on it. A lot of people don't check to make sure that links are working, especially social media links. I find a lot of websites that have their stock facebook.com instead of their actual Facebook address. But clean it up. Also, just look under the hood. I was just speaking with somebody before the call that she does some very specific tutoring, and she doesn't have any SEO done on her website, any of the metadata, meta descriptions, titles, all of that would help her gain organic reach. And she wants to spend money on Facebook ads. I'm like, why don't you work on the organic first? So look at your property, look under the hood, and look, front of house and back of house, I guess, as the restaurant industry says, right? Check all that out. Check all of your social media profiles. Make sure your pictures look good. Do you have links on there? Do some cleanup if you haven't already. You might have already done that in the last 10 weeks or so. So the world of marketing is quite vast, as you can see. It's the world that I live in here. I don't do as much right now, TV, radio, kind of the newspaper, billboards, the kind of traditional offline marketing, promotional products, public relations, which can kind of be offline and online these days. But on the digital side of things, obviously internet, ads, websites, social media, email marketing. There's things like geofencing and remarketing as well, or retargeting. They're probably all familiar with that. You go visit a website and then it shows up on your Facebook page that something you put in your cart. That would be remarketing. So there's a lot out there, right? And I know, right, who can relate to this guy? I call him Bob, Mr. Bob Overwhelm, because there's a lot to do. And it's like, where do you go? And I know that's usually a question like, where do I put my time and effort and dollars to reach my audience, right? So and I'm sure a lot of it does overwhelm you. I would love if you want to share, and I'll keep going, but I'll check the chat. If you want to put in the chat feature, what overwhelms you about marketing for your business? I would love to know. Just give me a sentence. If there's one thing that totally overwhelms you, or all of it, just, start typing out, and I will watch the answers as I go along. I'd love to kind of hear where people are with their business and their marketing, and what you're overwhelmed with, since that's what we're talking about today. So here are 2 steps to avoid overwhelm. These are the top 2 steps. And I think if you have these down, you still have to do the work. Again, so someone put in which methods to use, small business, exactly. So hopefully I'll help with that a little bit in this class. So the first step to help Bob and you out is to have a plan. Before you go any further, you need to know exactly where you need to go, right? Just like Kristen just said, where does she need to go? You're not going to go hop on a train or a bus and just say, I'll just go and see where it goes, right? You're going to pick a bus or a train that's taking you to a destination. Hopefully, unless you want to go on road to nowhere trips, but generally you want to know, I want to go to point A or point B. And it's the same with marketing, right? This is typically how marketing, a lot of people do marketing. I don't know if this is you, but you throw the spaghetti on the wall to see what sticks. Or you do this, right? Here we call it spray and pray. You just keep shooting the bullets until you hit something. This could cost a lot of time and a lot of money to do it this way, right? And someone typed in here, getting more organic followers on Instagram is overwhelming. Yes, I do have a slide on here about some basics you can do for that. But yeah, it can be, it takes time. So starting out with a marketing plan, and this is kind of the basic marketing strategy circle, having all of this in place before you decide I need to go to Facebook, or I need to do email marketing, or I need to go Google ads. Having this marketing strategy and having a plan down. So knowing clearly define your goals. This is the most important. Step 2, your target audience. I find some people think it's obvious, and they think they're at the target audience, but they don't know how to reach them, or they have the wrong audience. So this is important to figure that step out before you move any further down the circle. Do you have competitors out there? Step 3, competitive landscape. Are there people doing what you're doing? I mean, obviously, if you're competing against something like Amazon or Starbucks, like I'm going to open up a coffee shop that you have 10 Starbucks around the corner. Is that a good idea? Maybe you do something a little bit differently, but are you going to change people's habits from going to Starbucks to your coffee shop, down the road, right? So figuring out your competitors and what they do, knowing your story, your brand, what's your identity, what makes you special, unique, why would people come to you? And then step 5 are the channels. Where do you go? But you still need to go through 1, 2, 3, and 4 before you get to 5 and 6, having that plan. And then obviously the last step is measuring once you've already been doing this. So I teach a marketing, I mentioned the marketing plan 101. I go over this stuff in depth. I actually now have a marketing plan boot camp to actually walk people through these steps through 6 sessions. So you actually build a marketing plan. But this step tends to be one that's skipped a lot by business owners. They just go right to let's just go on social media and see what happens, right? Spaghetti up on the wall. So knowing your business goals versus your marketing goals, obviously, hopefully a lot of you or all of you have written a business plan and know basically what your goals are, how much you want to grow, how much money you need to make, employees to hire, what kind of business you want to do, all of that. And then when it comes to marketing, how to get that, how to leads, demos, how to get media coverage, and that goes back to that circle I just showed you, right? So, just going over the marketing plan steps, really understand and analyze your own product or service. This would be kind of step 1. Is there anybody out there willing to pay for your service? And where are they located? What type of avenues do these people hang out in, right? Defining your target audience. This is huge. And in my marketing plan class, I talk about buyer personas, right? So knowing everything you possibly can, and you might have more than one buyer persona. It might not just be the one person. It might be different ones that buy your product or use your service. But these are the type of things in a buyer persona that you want to figure out. Not just that they are female and they're, age 20 to 40 and they make 100,000 or more. There's a lot of information. What makes them tick? You know, where do they hang out? You know, what do they aspire to? You know, getting all of this information down will help you target that audience or audiences. Again, you know, it just kind of a funny example. It happened over the weekend. I was on Facebook yesterday, you know, scrolling through and looking, and I swear every single ad that was in between all of my friends' posts and stuff were bras. And I'm like, did I look at a bra recently? Did I click on something? I'm trying to think. I was thinking back, like, why? I mean, I had never seen that happen before, where every single ad, and I'm not kidding you on the every single part, were bras of different types of companies. And I'm like, is it we're not wearing bras during the last eight weeks, and now they're, so I was, you know, talking to people kind of jokingly about it. I'm like, well, how did they target? You know, and it could have been some remarketing. Maybe I did click on something, you know, that I was interested in. I don't remember, but I said, you know what, the targeting for that, women, right? And pretty much anybody from 18 to whenever you stop wearing a bra, you know, 80, I don't know, and younger, of course, young girls. But here you have such a broad audience for that market. Like, really, any woman that you could target on Facebook could see that ad and be interested in it. But do you go any further than that? I don't know if they were going by a location. Did I have any certain interest levels that would, you know, maybe sports, so they were targeting sports bras? I don't know. But it just was fascinating to me on a marketing standpoint, that why suddenly like all of these different companies were targeting me. Was it because I was a woman, or I did something in addition to that? So you know, yours might not be as obvious and broad as, you know, hey, I could sell a bra to every single woman around the country, around the world, that happens to wear them. But do you target any further down from there? Maybe you have a bra that's a $100 bra, so you might want to go buy, you know, certain income levels, things like that. So really looking at your buyer personas and doing that homework with buyer personas will help you get a better idea of who you should target, right? And then once you target them, you know, where do they read their information? You know, do they read a newspaper? Do they go online? Are they on Facebook at all? Are they on Instagram or Snapchat? Do they, you know, like I said, do they look at billboards for information? Do they just talk to friends? You know, an example would be my 80-year-old father in Los Angeles has been reading the LA Times for a million years. And he doesn't go online as much. He's on Facebook occasionally, but he literally holds that paper in his hand every single day and gets a subscription. Now, I took his digital subscription, and I get the LA Times delivered to me digitally every morning, and I read it online. Not necessarily a place that you would target me. You wouldn't know that I'm reading it online, but you wouldn't target my 80-year-old father, you know, on, you know, online. You would target him offline, you know. So really knowing who your audience is and where they hang out and where they gather that information, you know. And then, you know, once you figure all that out, again, are there enough people that fit my criteria? You know, is there a need for my business or service out there? Can people afford it? Once you figure out your buyer persona, so it's all connected. You know, you have to go through the steps to get here, right? Before you get to the point where you figure out where you're going to go, you know, which channels. If you haven't done this, it's going to be very overwhelming and confusing for you. So the next step 2, this I find is the biggest part of the overwhelm for businesses, is they don't put anything on a calendar, and then it gets overwhelming because they don't think they have anything to talk about. They might think of holidays and do it, like, especially around Christmas, people ramp up everything at Christmas time, and then they give up, you know. And I think this is where the overwhelm, even more than the marketing plan, because the calendar is going to be on that, like, step 6, you know, 5, 6. Once you know where you're going, you're going to build a calendar of content. So this calendar, I want to show you. You all, if you email me or fill out that form and I can email it to you, I send you my digital content calendar, no charge for that. And once you're on my list, I keep you on my list if you want to be, and I send you the next year's calendar. And mine is an Excel document. I'm going to show you on the next slide what it looks like and how to use it. It's great calendar, super simple to use, keep you organized. And again, I'll show you how to use it. So if you do want the calendar along with the slides and recording, just go to that goldenstatemarketing.net/BBB. If Faustine, you want to put that in the chat to remind people. So the calendar, these are the things that are going to be on the calendar already, but if you don't use mine, these are things you can put on the calendar that you use. So obviously all the traditional holidays and non-traditional. So again, traditional, you know, Easter, Christmas, Mother's Day, all of those. Now, non-traditional holidays, and I have here nationaldaycalendar.com, are things like National Hot Dog Day, you know, National Bring Your Dog to Work Day. There's a ton of them out there that are kind of fun that may or may not apply to your business, but it brings content to your social media. So you can go to nationaldaycalendar.com, but for the 2020 calendar, I went to the website and copy and pasted each month's holidays onto my calendar. So you'll have a separate tab for each month that has all of them already copy and pasted in there. And all you have to do is go to the month, like say June, and look down the list and go, okay, yeah, June 5th is National Rescue Dog Day. That applies to my business. Go and pop it onto your calendar, and then you can promote it. So that's already there for you. So there's that. And then any seasonal promotional opportunities you have, I have on there the national, like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Giving Tuesday. But if say you have a business that is something promotional, you know, I can, like maybe you're an accountant and tax season, you know, is a seasonal promotional time for you to get business, maybe before tax season, obviously. Skipping this year being a little odd, being that we can file later than normal, but you'd probably want to be advertising in the late part of the year to get ready, maybe in Q4 to get ready for Q1, I'm assuming. So anything that applies to your business or industry that you have seasonal opportunities. And then any hashtag days, I have here a couple examples. I obviously work with wineries, so we have Wine Wednesday, Foodie Friday, Thirsty Thursday, Tasting Room Tuesday. I had a fitness studio, so we use Fitness Friday, Motivation Monday, Workout Wednesday. You can Google and just Google hashtags in your industry. So, you know, dental hashtags or, you know, construction. There is something out there for pretty much all types of businesses that may or may not apply to you, but you can use those. Any events, obviously, you have off or on. Not a lot of events happening offsite these days, but when you do, we get back to that time and place where we can have events. And then syncing email campaigns and social media. I'll show you how that works on the calendar. And then what I call spontaneity versus planned spontaneity. Obviously, your calendar is going to have the planned spontaneity. So any promotions and events and things. Spontaneity is what happens just obviously spontaneously at your business, where you don't necessarily put it on a calendar. Just something fun happens at your business, you take pictures, you put it up on social media. You don't have to worry about calendaring it necessarily. But the planned spontaneity are those promotional posts, those things that you are actually planning for. So it seems kind of obvious to explain that. So here's a snapshot of the calendar. Again, it's an Excel file. I do keep it a little old school when it comes to the calendar because I haven't found one online that I like, that I can color code. Google calendars, things like that are more like appointment based rather than content based. So there might be online calendars that work out there for you. Again, I started out using a Word doc and now I switched to an Excel because I like the format with the different tabs on it. So it like I said, super simple to use. Typically when I work with my clients, if I'm with them, working with them later part of the year, usually we have the calendar for the most part planned out for the coming year, have it wrapped up and mostly in bed before the end of December. So I usually will get the calendar going October. So that's when you receive 2021. If you're on my list, I'll email you that one. I sit down with my clients in November. I ask them for anything coming up that's kind of static. They know events coming up. You know, for wine, this is a winery here as an example. You know, they know when their wine club parties are and they know when their festivals are in general. So we plug in everything that we know at that time. Any promotionals around holidays, promotions that we want to do, we plug in everything we can. So by January 1st, we already have the calendar mostly filled out and you can start promoting. You know, most people wind up waiting until January after you're out of the fog of the holidays, but by then, you know, you get it ready. It's like Valentine's Day is around the corner. And if that's something that you promote, you know, you don't want to miss part of the year. So planning out ahead, even through the holidays, that's always what I've done with my clients, so that they're ready to go out the door. And then I just execute on the calendar. The client doesn't have to even pay attention to the calendar unless they want to, but they generally know what's going to happen, and it's just going to get done, right? So that's the stage that you want to get out. So just to go over this is just kind of a fake sample calendar for a winery that I work with. They're called Lucky Dog Winery. That's why we have on May 20th here National Rescue Dog Day, which actually was on the National Day calendar site. So just to show you how it works, as you can see from the color coding up on the top right, anything in that reddish color is a holiday, whether it's the national holiday versus the, kind of fun holiday like World Moscato Day or National Chardonnay Day. And then orange is the email campaigns. I'll explain how that works. Any event you have, offline or online, of course. I don't have any blog posts on this sample. I should have put some on there, but they don't do blogs. And then the social media posts. So as you can see here, I've plugged in the hashtag days to potentially cover some of the holidays to actually promote via social media. So just going down the calendar. So as you can see here for this fake May, for this particular winery, on May 16th, they have a wine club party happening. So starting with the orange, the email, you can see that I was sending out an email at least once a week. Now, of course, you don't see April, but we would have been sending out once a week, probably starting around April 15th. And maybe doing save the dates before that in other emails that were specific to the wine club members. So at least once a week, might have sent one final one out that May 15th before the party if they still were trying to get club members to attend or not. But so that would be email. You don't really do social media for wine club parties because that would be everybody in their specific invite only events. But if it was an open public event, you would be doing social media for it as well. And then they also have, at the end of the month, Wine Festival weekend in town. So they start promoting that via email. Also, you can see via social media. On May 18th, we did a social media post. We did emails on that same day in orange. So you can see how syncing up the calendar makes it a little bit easier doing social media and email posts together. You can just map it all out on this calendar and then just execute on it, right? So here in this case, they did a promotional email for National Chardonnay Day. They're running a special. Usually the wineries will run it like it's that Thursday, they'll run it through Sunday. So it's not just ran on, one of my winery clients only ran it on National Chardonnay Day. It ended at midnight, where my other client ran it through the weekend. So in this case, we did the first email and we did a social media post on the 21st, and then a final email for the one that ran it all weekend on the 24th. So it's not too excessive in a short amount of time if you're doing something special where you're saying only now through the 24th, and you want to do one final reminder as well for those last minute people who may have missed the one on the 21st. So any questions on the calendar? I think that pretty much explains it. Just plug everything in here. And I find once you do, you realize, oh, I do have stuff to talk about, right? You don't necessarily have to do all of these posts here. We typically do. I mean, the more you post, the better, but, do what you can consistently. There are, I don't have it on this, I do a social media class, but how often you should post. And that will really depend on, there are some numbers, but that will really depend on you and your time. If it's just you doing it and you don't have time to do 3 posts per day on each platform, then try to do at least, 3 a week, get it consistent, not randomly, once or twice a month, and then you don't post up. Because organic reach, especially on Facebook, is only about 1 to 3%. So even if you have 10,000 followers, only 1 to 3% on a daily basis are going to see those posts, just because Facebook wants to make money and they want your advertising dollars. So they have dropped the organic reach way down over the years as they've been ramping up their ads. So just be aware that, you might post up once or twice a day even, and all your 10,000 fans aren't going to see it. The ones that are engaging with you the most are going to be the ones that see it the most. The ones that follow, or share, comment, are the ones that are going to be seeing your posts more. So you want to get people engaged in your posts, mix it up. You can also look at your analytics, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and see which posts are getting the most engagement. Maybe you find every time you post a video that gets the best engagement, or every time you post something funny, people like that, they tend to engage with it more. Start looking at trends of what you're posting, and then use those, because the more you engage, the more people are engaged, the more people see it. So if there's any questions about the calendar, I don't see any coming up here, just let me know. It's pretty basic, pretty easy to use. And again, if you want it, just go to that BBB page on my website. So someone was asking about growing organically, growing your Instagram followers. So how do I grow my social media following? I kind of threw this in here recently, because I get this question a lot, and there's really no magic way to grow. There used to be, Instagram used to have, follower apps and things like that, but they really cut back on that. You really need to do it, going back to the word organically, and it does take time and effort to do it. It's not a quick thing. So just to give you some things to look at when you're thinking about growing your social media, be, again, like I just said on the calendar, be regular and consistent, not once or twice a month randomly, or only when you feel like it, or had an event and now you posted something. Do it as regular as you can. The more often, the better. Again, with social media, if you're posting like 10 times a day, maybe that's excessive, but I doubt anybody's posting that often at this point. I mean, even that in some cases, like Twitter, wouldn't be excessive, speak to your market. Obviously know who your audience is on any of your platforms. Have a clear brand voice and brand identity. So if you're doing it, you might give it a certain voice and identity. If you have any employees that are helping you, make sure they understand your voice and identity. Have a social media plan for if you have somebody else doing it, so they're very clear on what type of things to post, the look and feel of it, what kind of pictures you're using, what kind of words you're using. To give you some examples of that, I have a winery client that I work with that if you guys are familiar with wineries, they vary, in their style and personality. And I have one that's like the couple that owns it, very kind of rock and roll, go out to mosh pits and things like that. They're very in your face kind of, F-bombs type of people. Not that they do that on their Facebook page, but just very outgoing, outlandish, and that fits their personality. So their social media profile or platform, you will get that kind of in your face rock and roll kind of style for their brand, because that's what people expect from them. It's authentic, it's them, it's real, it helps them sell wine. Would not work for my other winery clients. Not their brand voice and identity at all. I have a restaurant client that's down in LA. It's a New Orleans cuisine restaurant, and their look and feel matches their actual in-house experience. They use giant chalkboards for their menu with lots of colorful chalk. So if you look on their Facebook or Instagram, Twitter page, we use a chalk background on the post with chalk. So it looks like you're in the restaurant. That brand identity, their voice, very casual, kind of that Nolans, come on down, come get some, who dat, kind of thing. It fits that personality of that restaurant, so knowing and having a clear brand voice and brand identity that you follow through on all of your social media platforms, and making sure if you do have other staff or you hire somebody, they're very aware. I'm very protective of my clients' brand voice and brand identity, making sure it fits their style and not mixing it with somebody else's, or what I think my brand identity is, or what my voice is. I make sure I'm speaking for the client. So matching the message and the format to the proper network, of course, might be different on Instagram versus Facebook, or it could be the same. You kind of get a flavor for that. Use different hashtags, for Instagram than maybe you would for Facebook. Making sure you put your social media follow buttons everywhere and make sure they work. Like I said earlier, I visited a lot of sites where the social media links don't work at all because they never changed them from the stock links, or maybe they have changed their Facebook page address and they didn't update it. So double check, test everything, put it everywhere, put your social media handles on any marketing materials you have. Make sure they're out there. And the same with email. If you do email campaigns, you can add your social media following links in emails. MailChimp, Constant Contact, all of them have that ability to insert your social media. And again, make sure they're not the stock ones. Make sure you change them, edit them to yours. And then also follow influencers and share their content. So whatever market you're in, there might be some businesses that don't have influencers. It will vary. But if you do, I'll just use food and wine as example. Tons of influencers out there, people who like to go out and go wine tasting and drink wine, and people who go out to restaurants and eat. Maybe there's a specific cuisine that they're following. LA is huge. Obviously, it is the most diverse food area in I don't know if it was the world or the country that I heard, but definitely a lot of foodies going on there. So it's probably easier to find them there than maybe in other places, but find those people who are talking about your industry. Look at their content, follow them, share their content, but also going back to that number 3 bullet point, make sure that they also are appropriate for your brand voice and brand identity. Not all influencers are, they might have a totally different aesthetic that, even if they're talking about your product or like your industry, they might not fit that identity. You just imagine, would they come to my restaurant? Would they come to my business? Would they buy my service? That's how you want to, pick influencers. But it takes time. Admittedly, it does take time to go follow those influencers and share content and follow other people so they'll follow you. That does take organic time to do that. Again, remind email subscribers, as I just said, respond to your followers. If people comment on any of your platforms, make sure you're engaging with them as well. Encourage them to like your page or follow you. Using appropriate hashtags. You can do hashtag searches. The tool I'm going to show you shortly does some hashtag recommendations, things like that. And again, look at your stats to look at popular posts and topics. And don't forget about Google My Business. If you don't already have this set up for your business, make sure that you have it set up. You just go to Google My Business and set this up for your business. You don't necessarily have to have a in-person business. I have one set up for mine. I don't have an office or a storefront. But you can set this up. As you can see, this is my client down in LA, Darrow's New Orleans Grill. I just pulled them up as an example. I just did an organic search, Darrow's New Orleans Grill, and this is what popped up. As you can see, the left has the search results, the organic results, and then on the right is the Google My Business column that is broken down into 3 parts here because it's quite long. But you could see, as it says here, everything you need to know about this business is here before you even click to the website. Everything other than the menu is pretty much here. You can go to the social media links. You can go to their menu services that they use. You can look at reviews. You can see the Q&A here. So all of this is here that just kind of, was inserted organically in some things that we've updated. Only thing I'm trying to change is it's not located in waste management. Doesn't sound too yummy for a restaurant, but they're somewhere nearby, and for some reason Google is reading it as in a waste management building, but everything is there. So make sure this is one area that you also, and you can do posts to Google My Business now. So you can actually do like Facebook like posts. I don't have one here on the snapshot, but you can do that now. So it's another way to help you grow organically with your business. And then also, where do customers want to be contacted? Number 1 is always email. That's the best return on investment is email. And you can have that slide next. This might change a little bit, in the next, given that we were quarantined. Website live chat, not very popular. That's probably changed. We'll see if this slide, if they do an update of it for this year, probably people were using website and live chat more. People were wanting to see video more because we had to, right? But typically email, social media, direct mail are your top places they want to be contacted. And email, as you can see here, $40 for every $1 spent on average. It's like 38 to 44 return on investment with email marketing. You might not get 40, you might get 20, you might get 10. But I say if you're not doing it at all, even if you do double, get $2, you're still doubled, right? So if you're not focusing on email marketing at all, if you're focused solely on social media or other ways, I say flip the script, start looking at email marketing. I do a whole webinar on email marketing. It's coming up in June. Definitely check that out if you're wanting to know more about email marketing. It's my favorite thing to focus on as well. It's very important, and not that you shouldn't be doing anything else, but with that kind of ROI and you're not, I just say it's lost opportunity cost, right? So here are some of my favorite tools to help avoid the overwhelm. I'm try to get through these quick, and there's like 3 of them, but the top 2 that I use on a daily basis for my business that'll hopefully help you with the overwhelm. This is number 1. Is there anybody, if you can know how to raise your hand, there's a raise hand feature, anybody never touch Canva or ever look at it? Here, just raise your hand or just type something in the chat, say never heard of it, never used it, whatever. I'm just curious if there's any Canva newbies in here. But I joke in my class, maybe it's not a joke, that if I could marry software, I would marry Canva. I am so in love with it. I can use Photoshop and Illustrator and all those design tools. Oh, here's one I've gotten, I never heard of it. Okay. You will fall in love. And I do teach a whole Canva tutorial class as well. So it is super easy tool to use. You don't have to be a graphic designer to create rock star graphic marketing materials. And it's super cheap. So it's not even something to think about. You can do everything with this tool, digital and print. So here's just some examples of some of the things that you can do on here. All types of social media sizes, flyers, postcards, document, book covers, most of the slides I do are created on Canva. You don't have to be a graphic artist to use this tool. Here's some more documents, photo books, calendars, proposals, just about anything you can think of, you can create on Canva. And just to give you some, I'm going to run this slide. This is actually an animation slide, so I'm not doing this, but it actually now has animations that you can insert on here to load up on social media. And let me stop that, move on to the next one. And here we go. And then also you can create what's called a brand kit. So if you have certain colors that you use for your brand or certain fonts that you can upload them and have what's called a brand kit included on that. And that's pretty cool. I use that. Some of my clients have specific fonts they use, so I have to load them up and use them for a brand kit. Here's some more. Oh, I'll get rid of this slide. When it plays the video, it likes to stay on it. And then this one, also some more animated social media. You can load up animations. It's actually another slide, as you can see. It has tons of templates in the tool, so you don't have to start from scratch. You can pull in a template, like yesterday was Memorial Day. I just typed in Memorial Day, brought in some templates, changed it up for my clients, and posted it up. Didn't have to put much thought into it. So, and then it's just preparing the design. Let me just go on to the next slide. And then also if you use MailChimp, there's a lot of apps that's integrated with Canva now. So in this case, if you have MailChimp, you can connect your MailChimp account, create the graphic, go hit MailChimp, it loads right into MailChimp, and you don't even have to do the import, export import function with MailChimp. Doesn't integrate yet with anything like Constant Contact. I've only seen it with MailChimp so far, but a lot of cool new features. You can use it on, right now it's only available on iPhone and iPad and obviously desktop and browser, but if you want it on a device right now, it's only on the Apple products. And just to give you some examples of some, this is just a snapshot of my Canva account. This was April Earth Day. So just some slides I created, not slides, but posts I created for a couple of my clients. So it was Earth Day. Red Souls is one of my clients. We created these posts, and then there's my Sangers running a case sale down here. So just a snapshot of some of the posts that have been created. And this again is for a client. Now they have this feature called, it used to be called Magic Resize. It's now called Instant Resize, where you can easily say, start with a Facebook size and go, now change it to a Twitter size, or change it to an Instagram or a custom size. So you don't, like if you go to Photoshop, you'd have to create them each individually and then start from scratch with each one. In this case, I would start with Instagram, and then once I've saved that, I'd say now make it a Facebook size. You have to do a little bit of adjustment because, you know, if you stretch it out to Twitter size from Instagram, you have to kind of readjust, but you're not starting from scratch with those. So, and it looks like, yes, quite a few of you, 3 or 4 of you have not heard of it. So yeah, it's a great tool. This is an email created in the top element here. The banner was created in Canva. This fancy font, Outdoor Living Inspiration, was also, since you can't, you know, use those directly on an email, we created an image of that. And then also just carrying down the email, these little Polaroid frames, you can insert your pictures into them and throw them onto a graphic. And then these bottom call to actions were also created. So pretty much the whole email was created on Canva. And oops, same one. And these are just examples of some marketing materials. This flyer, Enter to Win, we use to collect email addresses. We have that in a flyer. My speaker bio, a rack card that the wineries use for their events. So as you can see the pricing on here, you can get a free account, but do the paid account. I'm not making any money. I wish I owned stock in Canva. I should by now, but I don't make any money from Canva to promote it. I'm just telling you, pay for the $9.95 version if you pay it annually, a little bit more monthly, because all of those cool features they have on there, like the brand kit, all of the new, they have a ton of new features on there I didn't even go over, but all of the loading up fonts, a lot of the images they have on there, they're all free and included with the paid version. The instant resize feature is not on the free. So as you can see here, go ahead and pay for it. It's like the best bang for your buck ever. I would pay quadruple it, but don't tell Canva that. I like it at $9.95. But great tool, easy to use. If you want to learn more, sign up for my Create Marketing Graphics Like a Rock Star with Canva class coming up in June. I do live demo of the class. I'm on the account and showing you all the cool new features and hacks and things like that to get you started. But you can start, go set up a canva.com, set up a free account, play with it. I find that most people within an hour have it figured out, So the other tool I use is called Later, and this is a social media publishing tool. Now there are plenty of tools out there. There are other ones out there, and I happen to like Later. There's also like Hootsuite and Social Sprout and I think Monday. There's a bunch of them out there. I've tried a few, landed on Later. The free account is good. There's some features I'll show you if you do pay for it, but if you just want to post stuff up, you can get 30 posts per month per platform. You can have one of each platform, and they do link to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. You can manage multiple accounts. That's a paid feature. So if you have 2 Twitters and 3 Facebooks, you can actually manage multiple accounts on that paid feature. This is just a very easy to use calendar feature. I'll show you that in a minute, how that works. You can auto publish to Instagram as long as you have a business account, and that's part of the free. Just make sure you have a business profile and you can auto publish. You don't have to stop and schedule it when it comes up. And again, you can create Instagram stories, again, paid feature on that. You can engage with, you can have all your conversations here, paid version. So if you have conversations on your Facebook page or Instagram, you can answer them here and interact without having to go to the platforms to do that. So, and then here's what I was mentioning earlier about the hashtag suggestions. So if you start typing in like your mojitos as an example, it will give you popular hashtag suggestions to use. That's another paid feature of it. So here's just a snapshot of what you would, how you would use it. So this is just a snapshot of what you would, how you would use it. So this is just the calendar. So winery client, all of these graphics you see were loaded up. Were created in Canva. And we have a Facebook, Twitter, and Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram size here. And you could see on the top here, we have their profiles connected up here. So you just click on one. Right now it's highlighted on Twitter, and you drag and drop the image that you want over to the calendar. So if I want to have it post on Twitter on the 26th at 9 a.m., I just drag it and drop it right onto that spot. And then this pops up. And so it will show you the graphic. You type in your content, you type in any hashtags you want, and then you can schedule. If say, it doesn't always drag and drop it to the exact spot you want it. So you might want it to be at 10 a.m., but it dropped it at 10:15. You can go and adjust it if you want. Or, hey, I want to change it to the 17th instead of the 16th. So you still have the opportunity to change that. But you type in everything here and you just save it, and it will launch it at that time and day. All done, and you can repeat for Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and post that up. So really easy to use. I love this tool. It's relatively inexpensive if you want to purchase it. Again, the free version's, pretty robust as far as the 30 per platform per month. But if you do, later, someone just asked us for Android, you use it on desktop. I've never used it on my iPad or iPhone. I think you can, but I would check that. Just go to later.com, Jacqueline, and ask that. But I typically have it on my desktop. It probably is both. So, and it's, I don't quote me on the pricing, but because I haven't paid, I don't use the paid version at this point because I don't use those other features, but like $9, I think, for the cheapest one. So it's not that expensive if you do want to have all those extra features I mentioned. So, but like I said, I like it. It's an easy tool to use. So I know we're just almost to noon hour. I'm almost done. This is one of the last, I think I have a couple more tools to show you. CamCard, not really related to marketing, but I really like it. If you collect a lot of business cards, which we usually do when we're out there networking, right? There's this tool called, it's Android or Apple or iPhone, and you load the app, and there's a desktop. You want to use the desktop version as well. You load us on your phone, you scan the card when you open it up, and it has optical character recognition. I will say that if it's a card that's a little bit fancy or dark, it might not really read it that cleanly. This card you can see here is kind of an example. It's somewhat clean of a card. It will read it, but it drops everything into database file. And database fields, I should say. So what I do is when I have a bunch of cards, I'll sit and scan them all, and then I'll go onto camcard.com and actually clean them up. Maybe it spelled the company name wrong or couldn't read the phone number right. But what's cool about it is, besides having all these cards with the pictures in your database, is you can also export it out and then upload it if you want to create an email list out of it. So you can do that as long as everybody's giving you permission to be on a list. You can then use it to search business cards on your phone if you're looking for somebody, as opposed to having stacks of business cards that we don't really do anything with, right? So again, both Android, Apple, it's free. It's great. I've been using it for a couple of years. I love it. It's an easy tool to use. Slack is a communication tool and free version. If you have a team, I use this for all of my clients. We have Slack channels, or what they're called workspaces, where you can communicate with your team or your clients. There is a free, free version you can do a lot with. Paid version might be for more people or to integrate with some apps. But it's just a great way to communicate without having to go into that. What I get overwhelmed with is so many emails and trying to keep track of email threads and all of that with businesses. So this kind of helps with the overwhelm of getting rid of email and having all of your conversations and your documents and everything in one place. So that's Slack. It's just slack.com. And this is just an example. My winery client, we've been using it for, I guess, a couple of years already. I communicate with her here. You know, she has questions about an email going out, or she wants me to send her some graphics to use in the tasting room. I just load them up here. We have all of our conversations here, so I don't have to go sorting through my emails. I go, did she respond to my question about that event? And did she want a graphic? I just come over here to Slack. I find everything here. I can find my documents and files easily without sorting through email. So I love Slack. Acuity is, I think, the last one. For those of you that don't like playing the appointment game of setting an appointment and going back and forth, like, you know, do you have Monday open at 2? Nope. How about Wednesday at 3, right? We've all played the calendar scheduling game. Well, I use Acuity Scheduling. There's a couple other out there. I think Calendly is another one, but I've used Acuity. I pay $15 a month. It's because I want to sync to one calendar. So my Apple calendar, it syncs to that. So if I put an appointment in, it will block off that time on Acuity. So super, super simple. I can create different types of meeting types, whether a half-hour appointment or 1 hour, you know, in person or on phone. So you can see here, it's very easy to set up the appointment types and how long you want them to be. If you can even charge on here, if you charge for an appointment, which I don't do. So you can see here's a snapshot from my website. If you want to set up an information call with me for 30 minutes, you just click on that general information spot. And then this is actually just a sample of my personal calendar. It will show you how it blocks off the time. These are all my kind of personal appointments. And then here it is in Acuity. It actually brings in my personal appointments and the Acuity schedule. So everything here in kind of this green stripe is Acuity based, where the other ones are from my own calendar. So it syncs it all into one. So which I like about that. So here, just going back to my web, should put those back in order. So once you clicked on that, 30-minute call, it will show you all of my available time slots. You pick your slot and then set the appointment. You don't have to do that back and forth again, right? So that's pretty much the presentation. Again, avoid the overwhelm with a plan, a calendar, and some tools. I think that will set you. Again, I do have classes coming up that cover a lot of these things we talked about. I'm sorry, my mouse is super sensitive. We talk about all these tools, so look at my calendar. And if you want to schedule a call with me, a discovery call, the half hour, as no complimentary, you can just go to callwithpatty.com and it will send you to that calendar you just saw, and you can pick a day and time that works for you. And anybody who sets up an appointment, I am going to give away a spot in my marketing plan boot camp that's coming up. So you can look at that on that URL there. And don't forget, again, if you do want the slides, you want the digital calendar, and I'll also send the recording, but I know Fastine will link you to that as well. Just go to the goldenstatemarketing.net/BBB and fill out the few little things there, and it will send that out to you. And let me see, I don't know if I don't see any questions. So if anybody has any and you want to type them out now, I'll give it a few minutes.
Patty, I think we have one that asks about what channels you would suggest for small businesses to use when it comes to social media.
So is that the one from Regine?
I think so, yes.
Okay, I think that was like the overwhelm, like deciding which channels to choose. So again, just kind of, Regine, going back to that, having that plan and knowing, once you have the plan, your audience, what you're doing, what you're selling, all of that, the steps 1 through 4 on that circle, that will help you determine which channels to go to. I mean, basically too, really based off demographics too. If you are catering to the senior market, you're not going to go on Snapchat, right? If you're B2B, business to business, maybe LinkedIn is going to be the place to go versus, Facebook. Twitter is more B2B play than say Facebook or Instagram. So that's another place to look if you're catering more to business. It tends to be more of that market. So that's kind of some very low-line basic. I would definitely recommend my social media class to kind of give you more details on demographics and where people hang out. But generally the younger the market, they're going to be kind of that Snapchat to Instagram. But also depends on what you sell. There's a lot of it depends with that answer. So let me see, I think somebody, okay, what do you recommend for small services businesses rather than product? My initial reaction is that Instagram might be better for products. Kristen, it depends. Using that answer, I don't know what type of business you are. If you want to type in there what your service business is, but it would depend. Yeah, if it's a product, I mean, Instagram definitely, because it's very visual. Translation services, so yeah, I would say that could be a LinkedIn thing as well, because obviously a lot of businesses are there. Maybe more Twitter again. I would have to look and see where, what type of service, who your buyer personas are. Who's buying these translation services? Is it big businesses, small businesses, corporations? Is a little bit of everybody. So kind of going back, knowing your exact customer base, like who's really buying it, where you go. But Instagram, you're right, probably not so much in comparison to say Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, just off the cuff, just throwing that out there. Any other questions? Oh, wait, okay, and then do you post the same content on your target channels? So yeah, if you're asking if you can do different posts for different platforms, but it depends. You can also do the same ones. Maybe they slightly different for Twitter. Obviously you only have 280 characters, so you can't get all hashtag crazy and content crazy on Twitter as you can with the Instagram or Facebook. But the messaging might be a slightly different with Instagram, but I'm finding not so much, at least with my clients within the restaurant and the wine industry that I have right now. Only thing that we vary is the hashtags. Instagram, they have a ton of Instagram specific, wines of Instagram, Insta wine, Winestagram, foodies of Instagram that aren't necessarily on Facebook. So that I find is the only thing that I vary. And really just testing out and seeing what works across the different platforms for you. So hope that answers it. Any other questions? So anything popping up? If you do have any questions, you're welcome. If you do have any questions, you're more than welcome to, if you do sign up to get the stuff, the calendar and the slides, when I send them to you, you can respond back with a question, or I'm Patty, Patty, at goldenstatemarketing.net. Feel free to send me an email directly. And I'll type that in here so you have it. But you'll get that once you, if you decide you don't want all the goodies, then you can just email me directly and set up an appointment if you want to schedule a call. I love talking with businesses and just learning about what you're doing. Happy to answer any questions during the discovery call as well. It's been an interesting, just to wrap it up, it's just been an interesting time to learn how people are really reimagining their business. And I've talked to a lot of interesting business people all over the place, and especially in California, on how this has affected them personally and their business, and how different they're going to do their business. And I'm finding that everybody's really motivated and energized. I think that's probably just par for the course. If you're here taking a class, you're definitely going to be more motivated, not necessarily sitting at home and just Netflix chilling, baking bread and drinking wine. I didn't sign up for that quarantine program. I didn't see that sign up sheet, but I think, like I said, keep calm, don't stop marketing, do those steps. If you can, get that marketing plan and the calendar, that's going to help with a lot of the overwhelm straight off. So Faustine, I don't know if you have anything that you want to end with, but I don't see any further questions. So I'll let you take it over from here.
Yes, thank you so much, Patty, for taking time out of your busy day to help present our webinar today. I know our attendees got a lot of valuable tips for sure to take away and hopefully start implementing it in their businesses. So thank you so much for sharing everything today in your webinar. The webinar was being recorded, so it will be available 1 to 2 business days on events.bbcommunity.org. And then I will go ahead and send you the link to it once it's posted as well for everyone who attended today. But thank you everyone for attending. Please have a great day and stay safe out there.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.